to 2021 and welcome to another episode of BLESS TV. Welcome back, guys. It has been a long time, but we are so glad to be back in your presence again. If you have not been with us at BLESS TV before, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We are a society that was set up a couple of years ago on Brighton and Sussex campuses. Our purpose is to come together, talk about relevant things, gain community together, learn, understand new things, and have some fun. Oh, and we also enjoy food, and you could get some free food. That's a fun time. Expect that later. But yeah, Lauren, what can we expect from today's episode, girl?
Today we are going to be chatting about what relationships look like in lockdown, how we do community, what the vibes are. We're going to be having Arnold answering the Lucy question, and as Jess said, there will be a chance to win some food. So stay tuned.
Woo! I'm so excited, guys. Free food. Who doesn't love it? Stay tuned. You might get to win some. Very nice. But like we said, today's topic, we're exploring relationships, what that looks like in lockdown, before, after lockdown. Ooh, let's gain some understanding. And in order to do that, we have got our lovely friend Levi here with us this evening. Hey Levi, what's up, bro?
Alright guys, my name's Levi. I just graduated from Sussex in psychology. And yeah, I'm from a little town in London, West London, a little town called Ealing. And yeah, I'm just spending the year just doing an internship at this church.
Levi, it is great to have you with us, bro. Thanks for coming on. We are so excited to hear your wisdoms and just get to know you a little bit more. And whilst we host this interview with Levi, we are going to play a game of Never Have I Ever. And how we're going to do that is in light of student fashion. Do you know what? We don't usually pay for our heating bill. We're going to try and wear as many layers as we possibly can to avoid putting the heating on for as long as we can. No, we don't recommend it, but yes, we all do it.
Could I be wearing any more clothes?
So we decided to play a game of Never Have I Ever. We're going to ask different questions. If we have done the thing, we've got to put on 2 layers of clothing. If you haven't done it, you don't have to add any on. All good. And if we've also added in this interview, if you ever say you have to add a layer of clothing. Guys, are you ready? Honestly, we just put the heating on before we started filming this episode. I really regret doing so now. I've also got a jumper on. Guys, the sweat marks are going to be real. I'm just going to let you know that. Have you ever sniffed someone's foot?
Yeah, I mean, I was in a long-term relationship. And
oh, yo, wow, hey, whoa, all right.
You know what? You just need to make sure every part is up to standard, you know?
Okay, I'll take it. Lauren, what was your story?
I don't know. Me and my mum.
You sniffed your mom's foot? What's that name?
Close.
Tina. Shout out Tina.
Mama Tina.
Right.
Literally, I did this yesterday. I'm not even joking. It's this fresh. I was lying on the sofa, and you know when you oh gosh, I'm struggling. You know when you you lie on one side of the sofa, and then the other person lies the opposite direction to you. So I was this way, Arnold was that way, and literally his foot was just in my face, and I was like, does it stink? No, it doesn't. And that was it. You know, we're talking about relationships. The whole topic of this is relationships in a time when, you know, we're isolated, COVID is a thing, we barely get to see people in person. But why in general is relationships so important? Like, why is it so important for us to do life with other people, in your opinion?
I believe we're made to be in a relationship. We're made to live in community, you know? No man is an island. But also one thing I've learned is that in relationships, in friendships, in living with people, your character really gets tested. Because I love to be in my own space. Like, I love just doing my things on my own clock. I can wake up, play FIFA if I want to, no one bothers me. But then when you're living with other people, you've got to take care of their priorities and their boundaries as well. And that's when your character really gets tested in a way. So you're just getting through the nitty gritty, learning how to love, learning how to sacrifice your needs prioritize other people's needs, and not in a way of just being a pushover, but just recognizing like relationship is give and take. A lot of times we're out here, we're thinking, oh, it's going to be a perfect friendship, it's going to be the perfect girl or perfect boyfriend, but in reality there's no perfect relationship. It's always going to be sacrifice. It's always going to be times where like, this is hard. But yeah, so we're made to live in community, we're made to live in relationships, and yeah, it just shapes your character.
So good, bro. Thanks for sharing. I'm just gonna pause our interview for 2 seconds because number one, Levi, you said so many times, bro. Get your layers on.
Oh, swear.
I don't know if I have.
I didn't even realize.
Honestly, it happens. It happens so easily. I probably already have. So if I have, call me out in the comments. Literally, I've just said it. Oh my gosh.
Wait.
Do you guys want to answer another never have I ever question? In the light of the theme of relationships, guys, have you ever fought with a sibling?
Yeah, all the time. I fight with my brothers and sisters all the time. So, wait, is that another layer? I used to have a bunk bed, and I used to sleep on the top of the bunk bed, and my little brother used to sleep below. But his bed wasn't directly below; it was kind of jutted out, so I could see his head when he sleeps. Like if I peered over, I could see his head, and I used to be disgusting. I was like maybe 12 or 10. I was probably 10. I used to. I don't even know if I want to say this on camera. I used to peer over and spit on his head, and he would get so I don't know what was wrong with me.
So yeah, you've spoken a bit about how important relationships are to you. So I was just wondering if you could tell us a bit about how during COVID times you've maintained those relationships, if you've got any tips and tricks.
Lauren, you totally said twice. Anyway, Levi, you were saying?
Oh yeah.
You said the U word.
Oh damn it. Okay. Yeah, I can't say that I hate social media, but I can't relate to people on it at all. I use it and it's so useful, but it can never replace meeting someone in person. And I'm sure all of you agree. But still, it's what we have. It's what we have in this season. So I would just say little things like I'll try and call my friends like at least once a week. Give them little texts here and there because we're all going through this together. So I think everyone understands when you take a little longer to reply, or there's a missed call here and there. Lauren, do you want to say something? Lauren, do you want to say something?
You got 5 arms, mate. You got 5 arms.
I don't even have 5 more items of clothing.
Do you know what? Come on, let's join our brother. Let's join our brother in a layer. I got a hat.
Oh, this doesn't fit with all my layers.
We are looking great.
I feel like a New Yorker from like the 90s or something. What? Just little things. Also, my friend actually took me on a run just the other day. I never run, but you know what? It's a chance to get outside. And as we were running and just talking, I realized this is what we're meant to do. We're not meant to sit in front of a computer screen. We're not meant to just sit hunched over on Facebook. We're meant to be frolicking. We're meant to be frolicking in the wild, in the fields. And yeah, we're hunter-gatherers. That's where we came from. And you just feel so much sharper. And I never run. I hate running. I used to be a smoker. My lungs are terrible. I can probably run half a mile, and that's good for me. But even that, it's just so good, and that's given me more of a reserve and more of a sharp energy just to talk to people. But I'll say primarily, my relationship with God has definitely gives me the drive to communicate and to keep in touch with people, because I'm very much a believer of you can't give what you don't receive. And for me, I receive all my sustenance, or most of it, the most important parts from God. And I don't want to be running on my strength all the time.
Levi, you're legend. You've ran out of clothes to even cover all the ums, and to be honest, I've probably said a load without even realising as well. So we're nice and toasty, everybody. But now, guys, we're going to conclude our interview and move on to the part that you've probably all been waiting for in your seats, which is our spotlight question. We're going to ask a question. Whoever answers it first in the chat wins a prize. Very exciting. We are going to give you a takeaway of your choice this week. How exciting is that? What have you been craving? You might be able to get it. So, what is the colour of a giraffe's tongue? Did you ever think about what colour a giraffe's tongue is? I didn't. And then I gave it a Google. It's got a specific colour that you wouldn't have thought of. Wow.
Oh, I think I know.
Do you think you know? Okay. Do you guys know? First person to answer in the chat wins a takeaway of their choice. We'll be in touch with you after the show. Write it in there, guys. Get ready. Exciting times. Woo!
Okay, and now we've got Arnold answering a juicy question as always on Christian faith. So, over to Arnold.
Thank you guys so much for bringing me back in, allowing me to talk, and for us to do this 5-minute section on apologetics. Well, before I actually get started, I thought it's worth letting you know that what we're going to be trying to do from now on is actually have an apologetics theme for BLESS TV. And basically, you know, when people ask these questions, it's really, really difficult to cover the entirety of that particular question. Cram it into 5 minutes is not enough. So we're going to be trying to do a theme where for basically a month, we will have one particular topic that we will cover from different angles. This month, we're going to be looking at suffering. And today's question is, if God is all powerful, why does he still allow suffering? Why doesn't he get rid of it? And you know what, I'll be honest with you, I've taken quite a bit of time to think about this, answer it in a way that I think is satisfying. So here we go, and hear me out. But please feel free to comment in any follow-on questions or thoughts, and maybe we can try and address it the following week as well. So yes, here we go. Firstly, I think it's important to note that there are different kinds of suffering, and the type of suffering that I'm going to look at is mainly suffering through things like drought, tsunamis, earthquakes. Why doesn't God just allow it to rain when there is no water? Why doesn't he stop it raining when there's too much water? I'll be going in from that perspective. And I think really also it's really important to note that suffering doesn't necessarily directly correlate with happiness. In fact, in the top highest income or highest earning countries in the world, there are the highest rates of suicide. These countries will have 6,000 people committing suicide per country per year. Whereas in the lowest income places, the places where it would take longest to deal with relief, the longest to deal with aid, because of the resources that they have, you only get 3,000 people per year. So double the number, in one sense, double the number of people are committing suicide, and even though they're in places where they're more likely to get support from the problems that they go through, and they may actually not be going through as many natural disasters that are happening. Suffering doesn't necessarily equal happiness. And that means that there are people who can have an external suffering going on, but doesn't necessarily mean that internally they are feeling dread or mourn. And I'm not saying about day to day. There are days where, you know, a family member might die or somebody might go through something where you feel sadness. I'm talking about the holistic, whole aspect of their life. They're not necessarily ticking it as my life has sucked. That's not what's going on. There is an internal form of suffering that is a bigger killer of people than externally, I think. There is an internal source of pain that is destroying people than outside. And I think that the source of this is actually what Christians would call sin. Ultimately, it's our propensity to accept lies that are told to us, or to bring lies to other people. It's our propensity to find joy in other things which actually don't give us joy. It's our propensity to think that we can look after ourselves when we might not necessarily be able to, and that leads to a greater internal destruction. And I think that God is in the game, or is very much his purpose is to deal with sorting out this internal degree of suffering. God is very much concerned about fixing that, and it actually started and finished with Jesus. God has fixed our internal suffering through Jesus. Because of Jesus, him taking on our suffering and him completely dealing with it on the cross and rising from the dead, we actually have an opportunity to rise above all suffering that goes around us, because we know that internally this has been dealt with, and we know that God will deal with this while we are here. Now, day to day, there might be, right now as I'm speaking, there probably is a drought somewhere in the world. There probably is going to be an earthquake sometime this year. Why doesn't God sort those things out? Do you know what? Let me tell you, the answer is, for me, I don't know. I do not know why God doesn't sort them out now. But one thing I do know is that God will sort them out. He has promised us 100%, I will sort out your problems. I will fix all of your external sufferings, all of the problems of the earth. I will fix that. That is a guarantee from God. But his main concern is dealing with our internal suffering, our internal issues that cause us to make mistakes and put wrong on other people. He is wanting to deal with that now, because once he's dealt with that now, regardless of what's going on around you, you will still be able to look up, breathe fresh air, and feel joy. And again, by joy, I mean a long-term understanding that life has been good because you have had God in your life. I'm not saying that you will no longer feel pain or suffering or days of sadness. That's not what I'm trying to say. But there will be a greater sense of peace and joy by coming to God, who's wanting to fix what's going on internally. I hope that helps you, and I will see you again next week. Peace.
Arnold, thank you so much for answering that question. As much as I loved your answer, I'm just so distracted by our looks right now, guys. If anything that Arnold said stands out to you, if anything he said was that, I'm interested, I want to find out more, hey, we have a platform for you to ask some questions. We run a group called Alpha, and we would love to invite you into that. We come together online each week. We answer different questions about Christianity, whether it's about Jesus, looking at the evidence of the Christian faith, and loads of other juicy questions. So if you want to come and join us, we'll be there. Come through. We'd love to meet with you. We'd love to help you explore your questions. But for now, guys, do you want to do one last round of Never Have I Ever?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so guys, the question is, have you been catfished or been a catfisher? Just gonna grab my layer.
Wait, were you doing the catfishing? Or did you get catfished?
I was, do you know what? No, I've been on both ends of this. I actually forgot. So, what happened was, okay, so when I was a catfisher, I was like 12 years old. I really wanted to be Selena Gomez because I was such a big fan. So I made an account on YouTube saying I was the official Selena Gomez. And I had all of these people being like, oh my gosh, I'm a big fan. And I feel really bad for it now. But when I was 12, I was like, oh, this was the coolest thing ever. And I got catfished. It was some form of like social media platform. And someone pretended to be this guy from Game of Thrones. I don't watch it, so I don't know their name.
Tyrion.
It's like a guy, it's like really muscly. He's got like long hair. Is that like everybody from Game of Thrones? But anyway, I was on the social media platform and this person was chatting to me as if they were this person who was filming in Northern Ireland at the time. And I was like, oh, this sounds legit. It wasn't.
You gotta be careful with that.
My foolish, naive self. But guys, thanks so much for joining us at BLESS TV. Levi, thanks for joining us. But the party doesn't end here. Lauren, how else can other people get involved with us?
Yeah, if you want to get connected, guys, this evening we have got student service hangout at 6 o'clock. It happens every Sunday. We just hang out, play some games, listen to some teaching. It's a great way to help community during these times, and we would love to see you.
We would. We would indeed.
Hey, let's do it.
I can't do it, man. There's too many layers.
Yeah, that's what, I realised myself as well. I was trying to.
Yeah, it's been great having you guys. Thank you for your comments, and we will see you next week or this evening.
We'll see ya.
Do the thing, Lauren. Do the thing. Hey!